Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin Show. It is your Monday, the 6th of January out there, in what I hope will be a great week for everybody out there. The natural gas trade working in my favor a little bit. I will walk you guys through what happened with my natural gas. As you guys know, I've been selling puts on boil, which is just crazy, juggling chainsaws, if you will. However, got to find risk out there, and I was exercised on Friday. We were at, 580 on boil. But I'll walk you through that trade a little bit later on. I want to get to our topic du jour, which, as I always encourage the viewers out there, if you have an issue, something you want to talk about, something that's either bothering you or maybe you want to learn more about, if I can help, I will. Some of you guys know the complex option strategies are way above my head. But when it comes to trader psychology, experience, and just trading in general, I got a lot of experience there. So today's show topic came from Rob C. in England, one of the regulars to this show. I didn't know, but he's an Online Trading Academy graduate. He's been through most of the courses and mastermind and all this stuff. And he sent me a very nice email. So thank you, Rob, for that. I appreciate the support you've given me over the years. When you look at what trading is probably the most challenging, difficult thing you can do. It's kind of like golf. Golf, at least you have it's the golf ball against the elements and that type of thing. But trading is all psychology. There's so much that goes on in your head, and we will all go through it. If you have not done it, mark your calendar. You will go through this period where you start to doubt yourself. You start to just lose. You go through this downward spiral, and you just like, you know what, screw it. I'm done. I quit. This is total BS. This is not for me. And the big question is it for you? All right. Should you just quit and move on to something else that maybe you're better at, you're more apt to succeed at, or is it just that you don't quite understand the issues to fix? So I'll paraphrase the question that came through from Rob. He says, I've become disenchanted with the idea of trading. So many other things to do. Job chaos and lack of focus leading to not much success. Not journaling, not learning, despite the fact that I really find this fascinating. So a spiral of lack of focus leading to lack of success, leading to lack of focus. So I cut out a lot of this because it was a lot of good content, but I'm going to paraphrase. So what's happened with Rob is he's been trading. It looks like he's taken a few different classes, stuck primarily with spot Forex, which has some risks of its own depending on which broker you use, but stuck primarily with spot Forex because of the use of leverage. And he's gotten to this point where probably having not very good success, which leads to, your confidence level dropping, which means you're probably gonna have more lack of success, etc. However, just recently, he put on a series of trades where all of a sudden, all four of them worked out perfectly. Great trades, 10% plus on these trades. And he's just like, yeah, right on. And all of a sudden, your mind is back in the game. Like, I got this, I can do it. So the topic for today is, again, an AI-generated graphic here. I had another one that actually was a little bit better, but his hands were all mutated. But I think this picture speaks volumes to all of us. Because we've all been there. We've all sat there and held our head in our hands going, oh, are you kidding me? Why did I do that? Or why am I in this thing? Or good Lord, please. If you don't have religion, sometimes trading will make you find religion because you start praying to all things holy to get you out of a bad trade. So I want to do something a little bit simple with regards to psychology called what to do when the market makes you want to quit. And the market will do that. So one of the things I'm blessed to have had early on was, at least from my mind, a very good mentor. And he would point out things to me that I would look at and say, this is feasible and I can do it. And he would say, no, you can't. Or vice versa, where I was like, oh, I can do these things. And he's like, well, no, you can't. Or I can't do these things. Yes, you can. He taught me a lot about just understanding I need to walk away sometimes. And the market will make you want to quit. He says the market will always poke you at your most vulnerable spot. If you are a person who lacks discipline, then the market's going to do whatever it can to test your discipline. If you're someone that lacks patience, and it's going to make you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait to the last second. You finally get out, boom, it does exactly what you thought it was going to do. It tests you at every facet of the game. So we have to be ready for that and understand, okay, the market's going to challenge me. That's why at least I, talk so much about having a trade log and a plan, have a trading plan in place. So let me walk you through. I just did a couple quick bullet points here that off the top of my head is how I would, I guess, be a psychological coach to somebody in this problem. First thing I'd want to know is, okay, so you want to quit. And I got to be honest, for some people, quitting might be the right thing to do, right? I'm not saying that everybody can do this. I believe there are certain character sets which make you more predisposed to be a trader. I think someone who's very disciplined, someone who follows rules and is willing to admit that they're wrong, I think that you got a great chance at being a very successful trader. If someone is stubborn and overconfident and way too cocky, you're probably going to fail in the long term because the market will put you in check. So what would I say to somebody who says, hey, you want to quit? First thing I would say would be, well, why do you want to quit, right? Is it because you're not making money? That's probably it. Are you frustrated with just, consistent losses? That's probably a part of it as well. So I'm going to first ask you why, and at least hear the story behind why it is that you want to quit. What were the circumstances that arose that make you throw up your hands and go, screw this, I'm done, right? What was the problem? Something clearly happened that made you go, I've had it, I'm throwing in the towel, etc. So we've all been there. Write these things down. I think it's important for us to look back and say, this is what's caused this problem. And then here's where it starts to get really ugly. I think that over the years, and again, this is something that I guess the FTC was an issue with, was some of the sales tactics. And I think that sometimes salespeople will make it sound too easy. And that's not just OTA, that's across the board, right? It's kind of like a used car salesman. They probably shouldn't sell you the $80,000 car if you can only afford a $50,000, but hey, they'll make a better commission. So they'll forego maybe a little bit of risk management on their part to get you in the higher price vehicle. The problem that most people have is they just feel like they want to give up for a couple of different reasons. And number one is they feel like they're not making the money that they should be making. A lot of people feel that this was way too easy, right? Or they think it should be way too easy. I simply open an account, I buy and sell stuff, and I make a bunch of money. And the reality is, you all know this, it's not easy, right? There's a lot of challenges there. So the big question I have for most people is, are you willing to put in the effort? Right? Are you willing to take the time? Now, I used to do a lot more research. Guys, I was glued to the computer. I'll walk you through kind of the day in the life back in 1998. I'm in California. So markets open at 6:30 in the morning Pacific time. They close at 1 p.m. I would get to the office at 6 o'clock, maybe 5:45 in the morning. I'd sit down, I'm listening to Maria Bartiromo, I'm watching CNBC on the TVs, I'm looking through all the news headlines, I'm listening to all the traders around me. I'm literally just a vacuum sucking in every piece of information I can in that opening half hour to 45 minutes before the markets open. The second that bell rings, and we had a little bell on the floor, be all ding, 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 I'm already hitting the buy button, or sell button, or short button. I mean, I'm already machine gunning the market with orders because I was a high-speed day trader back in the late 90s. And I would trade aggressively all day, right? This is the early days, but I would trade from 6:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock. Markets would close at 1. I would go to the beach, usually with some people from the trading floor, go out to lunch, and then I would go back to my apartment and I would start reading books on trading. I would just study the markets. I'd look at charts. I'd learn about technical analysis, hang out with the guys that were making money on the floor so I could learn from them. It was pretty much all day and all night absorbing financial information. Now, fast forward from 1998 to where we are today. You go 25 years forward. My day is very different. I wake up kind of when I feel like waking up. Normally, I'm not a trade the opening kind of person anymore. That rush is so volatile and so wild. There is opportunity there, but there's also a tremendous amount of risk. So on days like today, and actually last Friday, I was up at 6:30. I want to make sure I'm there for the open because I got orders and my plan needs to be implemented. But normally, I'm not going to be there at 6:30 in the morning, right? I'm not the early bird rises guy anymore. Matter of fact, I hate mornings. So I would say that my real market day from trading perspective starts, let's say, at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Pacific. And then I'll go through and I'll look for opportunities. Now, if I've done analysis the night before, and a lot of times I'll spend about an hour at night just running through a preset list of filters that I have, looking for opportunities, and I simply write them down on a piece of paper. And if the setup looks really good, I'll put some bracket orders in. If it looks incredible, I will actually be there on the market open to make sure I can see what's going on at that moment in time. So whereas before I would say I'm trading and studying the markets for 12 hours a day, now I would say I'm maybe 2 hours. Actually, I got to say an hour for the show, so I would say 3. And with that 3 hours, most of my focus is no longer on the day trading side of things. It's going to be more on the swing trade. Things that last a couple days, couple weeks. Today was a good example of why. I mean, if you were day trading today, it was really rough. You had no real clear direction. You had lots of chop today, so it was really, really, really boring. A little boring, but there just wasn't a lot of opportunity directionally. So are you going to put in the effort? I would say early on, you need to commit time. You need seat time. Just like a professional race car driver, when they're learning, right, becoming a professional race car driver, they're getting as much time in that car as possible. But once you reach that level of, we'll say, quote unquote, professional, you don't need to be getting that much seat time. You know how to drive the vehicle. You can just step in, okay, let me get a warm-up lap, and I'm pretty much ready to go. I know how this thing handles, right? So I think trading's the same way. In the beginning, you're going to have to put in the effort. You're going to have to do all those things we talked about a couple weeks ago with Ryan Watkins on the trading plan, and I've done a few other shows on psychology where you kind of set your mind up for that day. So are you going to put in the effort? The big question, I guess, is can you? Some people don't have time to commit, and maybe even they don't want to put in the effort, right? It's just, oh, I want the red light, green light system. What's going to make me a ton of money? Well, if you want the red light, green light system where you turn on the market and you just start making money hand over fist, then, wake up from your dream, because it doesn't really exist now. Well, it exists, but not on a retail level, right? These systems exist where they just turn on the machines and they start making money, but you don't have access to those, and you probably never will. The day that you get access to those systems, those black box systems that actually are money-making machines from start to finish, is the day they don't work anymore. So when you watch these infomercials, when you see all this stuff on TV and how you got this red light, green light indicator, blah, blah, blah bullshit, it does not work. Because if it worked, the individual that was selling that program would have gotten funding for $100 million and just traded all himself. Why give away the goose that lays the golden egg? So just remember that you are going to have to put in work. If it's a simple red light, green light system you buy over the counter, it's not going to work long term. Might work for a couple trades, but not long term. Did I do a Yoda impersonation? Getting it overnight has been a trick for me. There you go. Oh, there, I see the do or do not. There is no try. Yep, absolutely. And you can't half-ass it, And then Rob, to your point, you sound like you were being bogged down with so many things. So maybe what you have to do is find a style that fits you a little bit better. Maybe, being in front of the computer all day just doesn't jive with what you're doing. I've over the years really transitioned a lot more into swing trading, which are trades that last a couple days, a couple weeks. One of my favorite things has simply been selling monthly options, and now I'm shifting maybe a little bit more towards the weekly options. Why? Well, because then I really don't have to think too much about it. I'll sell them on Monday, I'll look at it on a Friday, and if I get executed on Friday, it doesn't have that much time to get away from me. I can do damage control come Monday morning and maybe sell options against the positions like I did with my Boyle today. So those are the simple questions I would ask you. And of course, everyone's going to have different responses to these questions, which is, why do you want to quit? What's the problem? Most of the time, it's about making money. Are you putting in the effort? And this is where I think most people fail. They think it's just it's just too easy, and I don't want to put any effort in. Well, you're going to probably end up losing. So what do you do? In Rob's case, or anybody else who's struggling and saying, hey, you know what, I've hit that wall, I feel like giving up, I'm on a consistent losing streak, I've lost 10 trades in a row, I haven't made money for 2 months, whatever the case may be, stop. Just take a break. Take a breather, right? You have that right as a trader. You don't have to trade, so stop. Because if you're losing and your mindset says I'm a loser and you keep trading, I would go out on a limb and say there's like a 90% chance you're going to continue to lose, because your brain has already given in to losing. You have predetermined your destiny with your mindset and your attitude. You feel like a loser, you're going to be a loser. You feel like a winner, your odds of being a winner are much better. So change your mindset. Take a break. And once you take a break, I would say it's critical to go back and evaluate what you did. And we've already passed the point of I want to quit, right? We're saying, okay, I feel like I want to quit, but I don't. I want to make this work. I want to succeed. Now what do I do, right? Evaluate what you did. For those who are new and don't have, let's say, an online trading academy education or some other focused education school in the financial markets, it may be difficult to understand what exactly you did, which is why, I keep emphasizing on here the importance of consistency, the importance of journaling. Get yourself a little book, a little spiral notebook, and write down your trades, write down your ideas, write down what happened, write how you were feeling, write what the freaking weather was like, just to get your mindset on, this is my business. I need to look at the trades that were made as a business. So what were all the things that could have impacted that day? So what did you evaluate what you did? And from there, you start to troubleshoot your problem. It may be challenging. Again, how do you fix things if you don't know what you're doing wrong? So this, in one aspect, I love things like the mastermind and clubhouse communities for OTA, because you get a lot of feedback from not only the instructors, but from other people who may have suffered through your same problem. If you're trading by yourself and learning on your own, you are an isolated island, and there's no one there to fix your problems but you, and you're the one that put yourself in that problem to begin with. So how on earth can you get out of that problem? So for anybody who's watching this who's, the solo trader doing it all by themselves in their own little quote-unquote island, you have probably the biggest challenge in front of you if you're facing that I want to quit dilemma, because you got nobody to pull you out and fix your problem. Like I said, I was on a floor with 120 people. Out of that 120, maybe 10 were really good traders. And I tried to align myself with them and pick their brain when I was having problems. Surround yourself with people, even if it's just this group here, right? Find people that can help you and aren't self-interested. I know Big Eb and Tom and Lori and Lisa and a lot of you are giving feedback to other people in here. There's a sense of altruism with the small community that we have here, and I know that's also there with Online Trading Academy's community, where they're trying to help one another. We've all been there. I'm not threatened if I give Lori or Big Eb or Joe or Skilled Stocksman or any of you advice that's actionable and allows you to make money. It's zero threat to me whatsoever. Instead, I'd rather help you out so that you can achieve what you want to achieve and become a better trader for it. I mean, why do I need to be greedy or interested in your failure? I'd rather see people's success. So surround yourself with a community. I would say this, be very careful. There are a lot of communities out there where there's only one interest, and the interest is whoever runs that community, and that's making money, right? That's typically the capitalistic way of looking at this. Yeah, no, not everyone. Not everyone, Lori. I hope that Sam loses every single penny he has, goes bankrupt, lives on the street, homeless, and begs for change. Because when I walk by, I'll throw a penny at him and go, choke on it. But no, I don't want everybody to succeed. Absolutely not. There are some people that I don't think deserve to succeed. Good people, I think, should succeed. Scumbags should fail. Let's see. So I'll reflect very briefly to a situation that happened to me where I was in a similar situation to what Rob is in right now, which is that I feel overwhelmed, I feel like a failure, and I'm kind of losing right here. So my mentor said, stop, take a break, right? Just walk away, go home, and take a week off. I said, okay, fine. And at that point, I was losing about $500 per day. Actually, a little bit more than that. And he gave me kind of some steps to work with here on saying, here's how you can potentially fix this downward spiral that you're in. The story that Rob sent me sounds very similar. This downward spiral, one negative piece triggers another negative one, triggers another negative one, and just keeps on going. Ultimately, that leads to a blown trading account. So he said, stop, go away. And then I think I told you guys the story. I went and sat by the pool here in Southern California. Basically every day, just sat by the pool. I read one of my favorite trading book, which is Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. And read that a couple times because I just love the story. And I read The Disciplined Trader by Mark Douglas. And I started to read the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns by Bukowski, but that's just a real dry read. And I just kind of got my head back in the game. And then he came back and he says, you know what? Write down how you're going to succeed. What are the steps that you're going to take to succeed? Because we can all say, oh, I'm just going to buy things that make money. But that's not a step to success, right? That might be a result of your action plan as you bought something that moved up in value, but you can't say that's how I'm going to succeed. I'm just going to buy stuff that goes up. That's just stupid. There's no plan or methodology there. So what is your plan? Which goes back to our trade plan discussion we had many times. So once you've done that, you've regrouped, you've evaluated what you did, and you say, this is the major piece for me. In Rob's example, it sounds like time commitment. He's got so many other things going on, he doesn't have time commitment. Okay, fine. If that's the issue, and you know your strategy works, but it's a time commitment, then you find the trading style that will allow you to put in smaller amounts of time. That's going to be swing or position trading, right? Trades you know are going to set up to last for days to weeks. And then you can start to focus on your other things, and you'll probably do better at other aspects of your life as well because you'll be more focused on those. If you find you have more time to free up to come back and trade more actively, then great, do so. But the key here is once you've evaluated what you did wrong, you fix your problems, start back up again, but start slowly. and I can't emphasize this enough, there's this rush to jump back in. And I'm going to pick on Rob just a little bit here because in the email that he sent me, you got this negative umbrella where it just felt like things are overwhelming him. And I get it. We've all been there. It just kind of got bad. It got bad. And he was frustrated with it, wanted to throw in the towel. I'm done with it. Maybe it's not for me. And then the market does what it does. Right as he was about to quit, what did it do? Boom, handed him a couple quick, easy winners. Boom, here's 4 nice winning trades. So all of a sudden, Rob's going, all right, well, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. I feel good again. Oh! At that point, you got to be real careful, Rob, because the market can also lure you back in and give you that false sense of confidence. 4 trades does not make an about face of your downward slide. So go back into it, start real slow. Do not get tempted to put on your normal size trade. I would say trade half or 1/4 of your normal size. You need to trade small enough that you have a couple, some profit. But at this point, it's not about making money. It's about changing your headset, your mindset. Your brain has to be fixed because it's negative right now. So those 4 trades did wonders for you. I could tell by the way your email was written. At that point, keep doing what you're doing, but do not trade bigger. Continue to trade small and see if the adjustments that you've made or the rules that you're following are consistent. What if this was just 4 blind luck trades that the market threw at you and said, oh, don't give up. Send some more money in because I'm going to give you some winning trades. And then as soon as you put more money in, I'll take it all away from you. You haven't proven yet that you're out of this thing. So I would say start back up slowly, approach it with extreme caution, but you do have positivity going on. Now, once you start back up, right, the wheels are starting to turn. Once it starts to pick up momentum, then the most important piece of all of this, and that is evaluate, evaluate, evaluate. I know you don't like trading journals, but you got to write down what you did right, what you did wrong, and more focus on what you did wrong. Because every day, every trade, you'll probably find you did something right and you did some things wrong. So that would be my take on how do you get out of that malaise, that funk, that depression of failure in trading, which can be handed out recklessly by the markets. I'm sure we've all felt it. I know I have. I mean, I go through it still as someone who's traded in going on my 27th year. I still go through periods where all of a sudden the market just starts beating you up and you're like, man, this is brutal. Maybe I should do something different. But I know better. I am willing to commit the time. I will stay and evaluate what I've done right, what I've done wrong, and I'm more focused on what I do wrong. And then I'll start back up slowly, get my feet back on track, and then just keep going. And for many of you, you're probably wondering, well, how does that happen to someone who's been doing this so long? It just does. Whether the market dynamics have changed, whether something in my personal life has changed and caused my brain to, misfire, misread information. You would think with the plan, both the business plan and the actual trade plans, that I'd be much more focused and super consistent. Well, I do have pretty good consistency, but every now and again, it breaks. And I have no real explanation why. Maybe Dr. Woody Johnson could shed some light into what's the human nature of failure pieces like this, which cause us to go into that depression, cause us to go into that downward spiral, but it will happen to all of us. Joe says the learning curve is different for everyone. Position size, your risk for the worst case, and if you find out that you're learning and performing well, then you can start increasing it. Absolutely. My mentor said that the single greatest way to control your risk is your share size. Stocks don't cost anything to trade now. It's free commission. So if you're really failing, trade 1 share. Go out there and trade 1 share of some stock. Are you going to lose your shirt and blow your account trading 1 share? No. Maybe Berkshire Hathaway, but that doesn't move that much, right? Go out there and trade, 1 share of the QQQ. Oh, wow, you bought it at 280 and now it's at 290. Great, you made $10. Out of no commissions, great, you made it. It's not about the money, it's about the principle. It's about the mechanism and the process and the steps. So evaluate what you did right and continue to evaluate that process because that's what will get you out of that funk. And hopefully, I should have had a follow-up AI-generated picture. Hopefully the picture doesn't look like this, which is one of suffering and pain and agony. He even looks like he shattered some stuff on his desk too. I did not ask the AI to generate an image with shattered glass all over the desk, but apparently he was frustrated and shattered something. And hopefully it turns from this into smiling. All right, or just a normal expressionless face, because in trading, even when you have winning days, you should just kind of be expressionless. It is what it is. So I hope that helps some of you. I know it's a troublesome piece, and for some of you, you might realize I don't have that time to commit. It's too much for me. and you just gotta you gotta walk away at a certain point. I mean, we got over 100. We'll get 100 today. It's nice. I think we're slowly getting big. It's only been 3 years of doing the show, and we're slowly getting bigger. It cracks me up. There's so many like YouTubers out there. I actually started watching a couple recently just to see how maybe I could modify some things. I'm like, you know what? I don't like a lot of the content out there. Really not there. Hey, Rob. Good to have you there, man. Good to have you. And thank you for the comment. You know, I'm hoping that you took that as encouragement. And, you know, it is going to take some effort. I mean, you're going to have to do a lot of evaluation. I found, for me, that's the most important piece. Over the years, the evaluation piece is great because you might take a class with Tim Blotzer, right? You might take, you may have taken a class with Tim Blotzer. You may take a class with Corey Lane or Ryan Watkins or Brandon Wendell or, you know, Jordan Matthews. And while they're all traders, actually, we could question some people out there that are teaching that are actually trading or not. But, you know, you have to take that and with a grain of salt. And if you take someone's strategy, whether it's mine or, like I say, anybody else's, don't take for granted that that system works for you. You might apply it differently. And this has been one of the things that's shocked me over the years as an instructor and as a trader is I used to teach what's called the Pro Trader class. It's now Core Strategy. And in that class, I would go through step by step by step by step. This is what I do. Boom, 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 boom. And to me, I'm like, duh, no brainer. It's easy. And then I would hear people down the road like, oh, yeah, well, I'm doing really well. And then some like, man, I'm just failing miserably. And in my head, I'm scratching it going, how can you be failing miserably? I'm following the same thing that I've been teaching you, and I'm doing okay. So we all process information differently. We receive information differently. So when you get anybody's strategy, always test it out with very small share size. And I think I had it here where it says start back up slow. I would say this is the same thing if someone gives you a new strategy or a tactic, right? Even Jim Cramer. Guy pops up on CNBC. He's like, I got the best winning strategy ever. Okay, well, let's evaluate it. Let's apply it. You know, evaluate, see what it did right, what it did wrong. How's it working for me? And then start slowly with that one and hopefully get back up to speed. Yeah, 2014, huh? Yeah, the old Pro Trader. We made lots of modifications to the content over the years. I think it's excellent content at this point, but. Yeah, I created the initial content way back in 2008. That was interesting. All right, cool, Rob. Well, I'm glad you said that question. I appreciate that. I hope you get back on track there, but don't let those 4 trades lure you into, hey, back to normal. Let's double my share size or contract size or lot size, whichever asset you're trading. Start slow and just try to get consistent, right? Get consistent. Feel comfortable with that. Sounds like you had some great winning trades, which is awesome. Big Eb says, I never panic. Yeah, you know, I was trying to find the statistic on this, but like, how do most people die scuba diving? You know, you guys know the answer to that one? How do most people die scuba diving? They don't die from shark attacks. That's BS. They don't die because they ran out of air. Because if you're at 120 feet, let's say you're at 40 meters, 120 feet, you know your air levels, and you can pop to the surface. Now, if you're 120 feet, you're probably going to get a little bit of the bends on the way up. But if you're 40 feet deep, you pop your weight belt, boom, you're not going to drown. There's no way. So most people drown as scuba divers because they panic, right? Like if all of a sudden, you know, a shark comes by or a fish comes by and it hits your mask off and your mask goes flying out, don't panic. So again, I was in Thailand a couple years back. And I went diving with my buddy Josh. So I'm a certified diver. And I was having some really weird anxiety issues. And I was not feeling comfortable as I jumped in the water. I was the last one off the boat. I just didn't feel right. I knew I was going to start having a panic attack, whatever. So we're down we were at 60 feet of water, which I didn't like because I had to do one decompression stop. That did not work for me. But I'm down there. And as I'm going down and clearing my ears out, I can already feel this panic attack hitting. So I'm the last of the pack with the dive crew, and this panic attack hits me like a freaking freight train, man. It was one of those ones that just go, oh my God, and I'm freaking out, and I literally with both hands grabbed the regulator, and I just held it to my face as tight as I could, because I knew even if I went through the biggest panic attack on Earth underwater, as long as I have oxygen, I'm going to be fine. I could hyperventilate, and I was blowing, so the bubbles were just flying out of my regulator because but I was panicking underwater. And ultimately, the dive master comes over and he's looking at me, and I tap my chest, and he thought I was having a heart attack, right? So of course now he's freaking out, and I'm like, no, I'm all right. I gotta like get past this mental block, and fortunately, I actually continued on with the dive. It was a pretty stressful one, but don't panic in the markets as well. Have a plan in place, and if all hell breaks loose, then you have to go and do this or this thing. What are your action steps to get out? I always tell people this, like when you watch these movies of cops and they come kicking down a door and they peep around the corner, right? They do this little move where they poke their head around the corner. They're doing two things. Number one, they're looking for the criminal. Number two, looking for all the exit points of that room. And to us as traders, that should be the same thing. The criminal in that case should be the security that you're trading. So you're looking at the chart to see where that security is at. But number two, you got to be planning out your escape. You got to have all your outs should this thing go to hell in a handbasket. What do I do? What's my contingency plan? Because as you all know, things don't always work as you plan, and sometimes they turn into absolute nightmares. All right, how much time do I got? All right, that was pretty good. Hey, Laura, good to see you. Love diving when I was younger. Yeah, the claustrophobia thing really got to me a little bit. My largest loss was when I panicked. Yeah. Dive your plan and plan your dive. And just don't freak out. And same thing, Owen, plan your trade and trade your plan. All right, let's go into what happened out there today, and then I will talk to you guys about my Boyle trade. So here's your economic calendar. I was actually watching some of the Euro stuff come out this morning. German factory orders, I know it may not seem like that big of a deal, but the Euro has been on just a fantastic uptrend for the past couple of months. Now, the last couple of days, it's had a pretty big sell-off, but the German factory orders were way better than expected. This is actually pretty good, seeing it go from negative 4.4% up to a positive 3.2%. So that's great. Means business is starting to come back into Germany. Excellent. For the U.S., you really didn't have much. You had this loan officer survey, which I don't even look at. Other than that, you have some announcements coming out tonight. This should happen about 7 o'clock Pacific time, 10 p.m., 10:30 Eastern Standard Time is the Australian dollar cash rate. So for a skilled stocksman here who I think is still trading the Aussie dollar, careful for that one. You've had a couple days sell off in that Aussie dollar. Let me show you over here. There's the Australian dollar. I mean, it's been a pretty rough sell-off for the past couple days. Of course, we know that coincides with the strength of the dollar index, which has been surging for 3 straight days. Big question is, where does that dollar index run to, right? There was that supply level 103.29, but we've already ripped through that. So next big stop here is 105 for that dollar index or the Dixie, and that means that the Australian dollar here might fare some more downside move. So keep your eye on that rate announcement. They're expecting a 25 basis point increase tonight in the Australian dollar. Now, as far as earnings, most of it was pretty darn decent. You had Activision Blizzard beat earnings, you had Take-Two Interactive beat earnings, Skyworks in line with expectations. You had Save, which is Spirit Airlines, which is one of the worst airlines on the planet, up pretty big on their earnings. They were supposed to make 4 cents. They came out at 12 cents. So, hey, they're making money. And that is your economic calendar for today. So let me look at what happened in our overall markets. We'll start at the bottom, work our way to the top, go through our top 10. Crypto sliding a little bit, but still holding these big gains. So it's been three consecutive days. Actually, more than that. Let's go to the Bitcoin spot chart because that's better because it's been 5 days. I was going to say it's not 3, it's 5 days where you have seen this sell off. But the good news is it's not like it's ripping down below any strong demand zones. If Bitcoin gets down below, let's say 22,400, well, then you're going to start to test this next lower level, which is about 21,000. So that's where we're at with Bitcoin. And again, I'm not really excited about the charts of crypto right now, so I'll move on. Russell 2000 was down 1.42% today. Again, we talked about that Friday Harami pattern. Did not get the follow-through on the Harami because it didn't open up above it, but you did see it make lower lows today, 1.42%. to 1,965. NASDAQ as well, which was pretty much all chop out there. I'll show you a 5-minute just so you can see how torturous this one was. Just whips up back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and ultimately no real direction, even though it was down 0.86. A lot of that happening in the overnight session here. All right, let's go to the S&P on the daily. Bring that daily back up. Similar picture from a sideways perspective, but the daily still looking pretty good. I still actually like this daily. Going to that 4,200, that was the most logical area for this thing to turn because of whole number psychology, and it did back here in August of 2022. We'll see if this pullback, does a pullback get us down to, let's say, 4,000, somewhere in that? I don't know. it could happen for sure, but I definitely think you'll see a little bit more of a pullback here before we start to potentially make a drive at that 4,300. Merlin, when can you bring Bob Dunn? I don't know. Bob Dunn is not doing so well. I know he had some heart issues, and I'll try to get him back on the program here one of these days. Absolutely get Mr. Dunn on. All right, top 3 podium time. Here's your Dow. Dow was absolutely boring. It's the 5th day in a row that it's just pretty much sat in the middle of this range, even though it's slightly down today. This is the perfect, it's almost dead center of that range. I think we literally are dead center of the range that we drew here. I will just, for fun, put our fibs on there, and you are presently, you are right at pretty much 50%. Dead center of the range we had drawn. Gotta love it. Gold, 0.15% gain today. It really is nothing. There was just such an aggressive sell-off over the past 2 trading sessions. You can see Thursday and Friday. Again, I sold puts on silver on Friday. I think it's Thursday. I think it's Friday. I lose track of time. But, you are right at this area where we just kind of have this rally base and then a rally out of it. So not too bad of a stopping point here for gold. And then crude oil was your best performer today, which talked about it when it started coming out of that yellow zone, which we've now made this bigger range. Said the next target's going to be these lows you saw back in January. We hit those ones today and now bouncing off it. The question is, will it keep going, right? Are we going to see this bounce more significantly off this, or is it going to come back and test that $70 level, which it hit back in December of last year? That is your top 7. We did talk about things like the VIX. I know a lot of people have been wondering why this VIX is so low. Well, it's technically not that low. When you get into single digits, that's an extremely low VIX. Right now, you're looking at a VIX about 19.42, which, of course, when VIX is low, it's time to go, which generally means that people are getting a little bit euphoric. When VIX is high, it's time to buy. That means that people are panicking a little bit. So not much panic going on out there in our current market situation with regards to VIX. Trend looks pretty decent to the downside, but again, I don't really care about the VIX. Dollar index, we already looked at that one, popping to the upside. And the last piece I will dive into just before we move into some other things here will be our bond markets. So here is your bond, which unchanged. We're really at 3.64 on that 10-year. There we go. All right, so what happened with Boyle? So let me bring up the chart of Boyle, which has just been a brutal sell-off here. I guess I could start with UNG. So today you have a little bit of a bounce, and I wanted to walk through. Someone emailed me, and I didn't have a chance to prepare all the slides and graphics for it, but I wanted to walk through a little bit about the Boyle trade that I had made, because I told you I sold 100 puts, which is 10,000 shares of Boyle, which puts it now at a $60,000 trade. No big deal. And a lot of you are saying, why don't you roll it over? And I'm like, nope. I actually like it when I take possession of the underlier. And I'm weird like that. It's just, I'm fine with that. So today, when Monday opened up, you guys know my strike price was $7. So I was put 10,000 shares of Boyle were put to me at $7. I had already collected, it's actually 44 cents worth of premium on my options that I sold. So my average price is going to be actually, let's call it $6.60, right? So today, you look at the price chart of Boyle, and there's our level. It's actually 656 would be my number, but just for round numbers, I put it there. So, no, I'm not bringing on Reginald Ringgold. Sorry, Pepe. I'm not bringing on Reginald Ringgold. So today, while this was rallying up, I actually sold calls against my position. So now I'm long 10,000. My average price is 660. So if it gets above 660, great, I make money with the premium collected, even though I sold the $7 puts. Now, I sold today the February 17th. So not this Friday, but 2 weeks. And I collected another 40 cents worth of premium. So now my average price on this, it will be $6.16. So my average is $6.16. So I'm actually in the money at this moment. Should I close out this trade, I would be in the money on this based off the premium I've collected. Now, of course, that assumes I collect all that premium. I'm going to leave this alone. The trend does not speak volumes to me, right? The trend actually looks like it's going to continue to head on down, but I'm expecting there to be a short squeeze or just a simple pop to the upside in natural gas, just because it's one of the heaviest shorted commodities out there. Speculators are short across the board on it. They're going to have to cover at some point. So I'm kind of playing that angle. Now, if by next Friday, this thing closes at anything under $7. And by the way, I sold the $7 strike. So if it gets anything above 7, I don't make any more money. If it gets to 7, this will be an overall trade for me that's been, will have been 3 weeks. That will have yielded about 12.5% for 3 weeks. Yeah, Pepe, he's got hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, but he's got a pretty checkered past. He was creating unregistered securities and selling those things, and just SEC. I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of a problem, but nah. I just look at I know he's got. There's a problem there. Like, yeah, I want to bring people on who have followers, but there's a certain kind of clientele that I want to bring on the program, and no, I can't do it. Sorry. So anyway, I wanted just to update you on that one so we can see ultimately how this one all pans out, because I know a lot of you are freaking out. I mean, I have other trades going on, but this has kind of been one that seemed to gather the most interest from most of you out there. Like, a lot of you are like, you're nuts, you're crazy. Well, yeah, I was. I was pretty aggressive. It was 5.7 for 1 week. Now this current option premium will give me 5% for about 2 weeks. And all in all, if it gets to $7 or anything above $7, is my maximum rate of return for this trade. Now, I could still lose some good amount of money on this, but I will continue to sell those options on this and collect premium. I wanted to sell the weeklies, but I could only get 15 cents worth of premium for the weeklies, and for 2 weeks I could get 40 cents worth of premium. So that's why I did the 40. I know some of you were wondering why'd you just keep doing the weeklies? Well, the premium just wasn't there for me, so that's it. All right, so I got that one out of the way. Let's see, I have 2 other things to discuss. Yeah, there. Okay. I'm still holding my QQQ puts. So you have 20,000 BOIL shares. No, I only have 10,000. 10,000, but I've got calls against my position, right? I sold calls against my long position. So basically what I'm saying with the calls is if it gets above 7, take it away from me. 7's my initial strike anyway. So if it gets to $7, which is the price that I initially sold the puts at, I'm still going to collect 84 cents worth of premium. 84 cents on 10,000 shares is $8,400. So it'll be an $8,400 trade. Now, here's the interesting thing. And we'll see how this works out in 2 weeks, right? If by next Friday, let's just say hypothetically, this thing closes at like $6.91. Well, I'm going to sell probably the $8. And now all of a sudden, I'm looking at a real potential runner. And this is why I like taking ownership of it. I know some people don't like it. It's the opposite of the way they trade. Because if I'm selling the weeklies or even the monthlies and it closes just below my strike price, then I can sell the next month or the next week and get even more premium and let the underlier run, because I have 10,000 shares of BOIL right now. If BOIL runs from 6 to 7, well, that's $10,000 worth of profit. If it closes just under 7 and I keep my shares, I'll sell the 8s. And if it really starts to run, I'll get taken away at 8. I'll make another $10,000 plus the premium I collected. And then all of a sudden you start to have real great rates of return on this one. And I'll probably start going shorter term, going weeklies. I just want to get above 7 or get near 7, which, it could happen very quickly. You guys know that natural gas is a tremendous mover. Let's go back to the charts here and just look at NG real quick. 1.95% gain today. Doesn't look like much, right? This is just a small little spinning top. It did not make a new low. Really, what will be important is if natural gas can get above this 250 mark that it hit today, right? If we can start to break that, then optimism starts to creep back in for me. You look at where this thing's come from. This isn't a monthly chart. I mean, this is a daily. Just a few weeks ago, this thing was up at $7. And, if natural gas gets to $7 and that puts BOIL somewhere up around 40. Now, obviously, I would love to have that one, but I'm not going to hold 10,000 shares all the way to 40. I'm most likely will be taken away on something in that time period. But I don't think it's going to jump up to 40 here on BOIL. But even if, let's just play a little bit safer, do you think it's realistic? What do you guys say? You tell me. Do you, yes or no, that you believe that in the next 2 weeks that we could get to this high back here from January, which would be called $11? Do you think that we could get to 11 on BOIL in 2 weeks? Just curious. It's been one that's been so beaten up, right? There's all this talk about so much inventory and lack of demand and a warm United States. It was like sub-zero in Boston this weekend. I definitely think it's possible that you could get up here to 11. Now, of course, I'd love to be holding 10,000 shares long, but mine will most likely be taken away from me at some point. In this case, I'm trying to just chip away at it. And this is why trading works. Tom says, sure, it could. Naum says, nope. Well, Naum, you know it can't. You know it could, right? It could get there, but the odds are pretty slim. I mean, that's a pretty monster game. Remember, this is Boyle. Boyle is a double long. So there's certainly that possibility. What is the ATR on this bad boy? It's going to be pretty slow. It's $1.66. Oh, no, it's back here. Right now, it's moving $1.66 a day. So in 2 weeks, it could absolutely get up to 11 based off ATR. If it hit its daily ATR, right? If it hit that daily ATR, yeah. Now $1.66 a day. It's been just such a wild mover. It's been nuts for Boyle. So anyway, and I agree with Jimmy. It's not likely. I agree with you. It's not likely, but I do think that there's a good possibility we get a nice pop, and that could easily get us to $8. I mean, you look at just today alone, 47-cent move up. You get a couple more days of that, and you're looking at maybe on 4 months. Yeah, we will see. I'm transparent. I'll walk you guys through how this trade's been going and what the deal is with it. But right now, I'm actually in the money, surprisingly, on this one. So I've got 13 cents worth of profit. Basically, I'm up $1,300 on this trade if we're to close now. But I will let this one ride for another couple weeks, and maybe we'll see once it gets to 7 or close to 7, reevaluate. And who knows? This thing could continue to slide here. I don't know which way it's going to go. You could go Boyle leaps. Here's the problem. This is not something you want to hold long term. Because it's a leveraged instrument, there's decay. So the longer that I hold Boyle, the worse it is for me. So I really don't want to be in this thing very long, which is why I didn't go out to next month, because I thought about going the monthly. I'm going to keep doing this on a weekly basis because I'm part of that gain, that premium that I'm getting is going to be eaten up by time decay, right? You saw that on the doubles and you saw it on the triple leverage assets. The time decay will eat those ones up. All right, let me go to economic calendar for mañana. You have the TIP IBD economic optimism numbers coming out. You have trade balance for the U.S. You also have at 9 a.m. This is Pacific time. Yeah, let me real quick make sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Pacific time because at noon East Coast time, Ben Bernanke is going to be speaking. Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell. If you watch the Monday Morning Must-Knows, you guys saw the wonderful graphic of Jerome Powell that I put in there. AI generated. It was probably one of the better AI generated pictures because I'm doing a lot with AI generation of pictures. Let me see if I can show this to you real quick. Where's my Jerome Powell one? Oh, maybe I didn't put it in here. All right, never mind. Oh, I thought I had it all ready to go for you, but I had it. I asked it to make Jerome Powell smiling and laughing. Oh, here it is. A great one. So here's the picture I have of Jerome Powell. That's AI generated. I actually think that's a pretty dang good picture for AI generated. As long as you don't show people's hands, it does a decent job. The hands are the ones that always get really messed up and weird. But yeah, that's my my Jerome Powell graphic. He will be speaking tomorrow. And this is important because, as you know, when he says anything, these markets can really rip one way or another. This is not a high-end meeting at all. It's not like the elites, but it still is a meeting where he can be pressured and the media could ask him something, he could slip. So just be careful tomorrow at noon, East Coast time. Hey, a month. Cool. Good, Jimmy. And lastly, earnings for tomorrow. BP, Illumina, Excelixis. I don't even know what that one is. Excelixis. Interesting. And Centene. Don't know that one. Fortinet, I know. Ares Capital and Prudential Financial. So really, it's about Illumina, BP, and Prudential Financial reporting earnings tomorrow. All right, what about tomorrow? Speaking of unrecognizable Powell picture, deepfake. Well, I mean, it looked pretty good for an AI. Come on. And literally it's created in 30 seconds. I just said, create a picture of Jerome Powell smiling. I got a couple other ones that are pretty good. Let's see. What about this one? This one looks a little more cartoony. You like this one, Tom? Is that better? There was that one. There's this one as well. I wonder one where he was like laughing maniacally, and this one I thought was pretty good. Like, it looks like Al Franken and Jerome Powell if they had a child together. This is the one I wanted to use for today, guys. I wanted a trader that was panicking and wanting to. I said trader wanting to quit, panicking, and this is what I got. Anyway, oh, the AI fun that I could have on this program. Anyway, tomorrow's guest is hopefully not going to berate me too much for my current position in natural gas. And that's going to be Mr. John Rowland will be joining us from barcharts.com, talking about natural gas. And no, Lisa, I wouldn't even want to give him the credit to have him on the show. Anyway, yeah, scared and fearful. Do you still teach? Couldn't find your class. I do. Right now I'm just teaching cryptocurrency. I will probably be doing some of the core strategy classes coming up in the future months. I wanted to do a little bit of traveling, and teaching and traveling is always a fun thing to do. So we'll probably see myself do some core strategy. But yeah, right now I'm just teaching the cryptocurrency program for OTA and building other content. But my teaching days stopped years ago. You know why my teaching stopped? It was because of students. It was because of bad students. I told you guys this before, but I was standing up in class, and we used to be able to trade our own real accounts live in class, but they don't want you doing that anymore. It's just a liability for the company, so you could trade OTA's accounts, but I would trade my own accounts, right? So I'm trading with live, real money, my account, and I had 3 losing trades in a row. And I told the class, I was like, look, here's the rule, here's the setup, entry, stop loss, price target, boom, this is the trade we're making. And 3 times I got stopped out in that class. And this guy throws this hissy fit, throws up his arms, and he starts calling me a loser, and he goes, I didn't pay good money to come here and watch you lose, and it just started bad-mouthing me, and the class kind of started getting on his case, and finally I was like, look, leave. If you're disappointed with me following rules, then leave the class. So he left the class and wanted his money back and all that stuff, so I just said, I'm done with it. I like teaching people who want to learn. That's why I loved teaching at university. What an amazing opportunity that was. But anyway, we're going to have John Rowland on the program tomorrow, talking natural gas, talking commodity markets, which I think will be a lot of fun. Of course, if you guys have questions for myself or John Rowland, you can email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. For those of you who might be new, and I think we do have a lot of people, hit that subscribe button before you'll be notified, or you'll know when I put up a new live show, which it goes live every day, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. You can hit the little bell notification so it'll pop up on your timeline. And if you like the show, share it. See if we can get the viewership up here a little bit more, and that would help me out. So that's going to do it for me, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's session. Rob, thank you so much for the question. And again, if you guys have things you want me to discuss, make a show about, TraderMerlin@gmail.com, or put it below any YouTube video, and I will incorporate it into the show going forward. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.